Hey y'all, it's me, Daniel on the Body Zone. So I'm coming to you all today. It is Saturday, December 23rd, 2017. I know I've been away, and look at me, I'm wrapped up because I've got the audacity to have like a little chill going on my Christmas break. Now it's nothing outrageous, but you know how you have just that little subtle chill factor, and you feel kind of yucky a little bit. That's what's going on right now. So I said, I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to take care of that right now. So yeah, I wanted to come and talk to you all today a little bit about and about reading, teaching reading, and just share some things with you all, So I'm checking to make sure my video can be seen. And so be patient with me. I'm still new to this technology and I am learning quickly, but there's always a learning curve. And let's see. All right, well, I see. Let's see. See if that's gonna go. Okay, good. All right. So all the technology stuff has been looked at. So now you hear me quite well and all that good stuff. I think you can. I think you can. I think you can. I think you can. Okay, so you all, I want to talk a little bit about teaching reading because those of us who are teachers, those of us who have children and grandchildren, and we have different philosophical underpinnings about how to teach reading. It's important for you to identify what you think is the best approach for your child to learn how to read. Now, I am a proponent of phonics primarily because that's how I learned to read. And so there are some drawbacks to phonics, but English language is a phonemic language. So, with the 1,000 of phoneme sounds and everything, we have to pretty much figure out, based on the basic fundamental phonemes, what those sounds are that are produced, what those graphemes, what they look like, and the sounds associated with them, and then how to blend them and interact with them. So did you all know? Now, y'all know this is what I'm doing my studies on. Okay, so I've been studying away, right? And so some of my studies, some of the research said there are 41 phoneme sounds. I found other research that said there are 44 phoneme sounds. And the phonemes produce almost 2,000 sounds, over 1,700 sounds, ways to pronounce these phonemes. So phonemes, you all know what they are, the smallest unit of a word that produces a sound. And so I'm a proponent of phonics because that's what English language is. It's a phonetic language. Now, Chinese, you're learning Chinese, it's a pictorial language. I mean, you have symbols, it's symbolic, and each symbol produces a sound or a name or a word or something. So that one is more, requires more memorization of symbols. And so, I have a grandson who is in the early grades, and I'm not fully engaged in his learning. So I don't know exactly how he reads, but when I see him, I will be testing him, you know that. But I do see his progress with his writing. And I see his progress with forming the graphings, the written letters that represents the sounds. So he's doing better with that. His penmanship is getting stronger. So I mean, and that's a phase of learning to read, but that's a component of learning to read. But you know, I just want to talk a little bit about you know, if you're a proponent of whole language and strictly and solely home language, then I just don't know how children are going to learn English if it's fully whole language. So that's the debate. I just wanted to kind of touch on that. If any of you are whole language proponents and that's your fundamental way of teaching reading through sight words, memorization strictly, you know, and this is opening a can of worms, but it's a can of worms that needs to be opened because, you know, some of the research is saying American schools continue to struggle, have students who struggle with literacy because we are holding on to antiquated methods. So back in the day when Harriet Tubman and I were in the kindergarten and first grade together, we were in the same classroom. That's what I tell my students. I learned phonics. You know, I learned how to pronounce words and sound words out. Now, it didn't work all the time because some of the English words come from other languages. And so I can remember growing up when I was old enough to read the newspaper, and I can remember reading in the movie section about James Bond and seeing the name Sean Connery, and I knew how to sound out Connery, but I didn't know how to pronounce Sean because, well, to me it looked like scene like the C and then an N. So I would say Sean Connery. And then as I, you know, even now as an adult, because I am a phonetically based learner or person, if I am reading a text and I'm not engaging with other people with how things are pronounced, then I will formulate a pronunciation that seems to apply, that works with the rules of phonics. And so, you know, and we all do pretty much. Like I can remember having a conversation with my principal about whole, like in my former school, we did the whole school reading every year. And so our principal was telling me about how when Harry Potter first came out and the whole school read the Harry Potter, the first one, and they didn't know how to pronounce all the characters' names. Hermione, who in the world knows that it looked like Hermione or whatever, Hermione. So yeah, Hermione, good night. Who would know that? So yeah. So so I just want to talk to you all a little bit about providing some value here on my channel. I'm looking at ways to just kind of share out what I'm learning, and these are things I already know, guys. When I say I'm learning, I'm just saying that in under the construct of a doctorate, you already know a lot of the information that you're learning, but you're drilling down. You're going way deep down into the fundamentals, the history. You're looking at how it spreads out across a place, maybe a school district, maybe even a region of states or a country. Okay, so and over a span of time as well. And so you're really digging back into the historical components of your studies and then bringing them to see how currently, you know, what's being done. And so I want to, I'm thinking about doing some things on this channel to share out with you guys about, okay, let's see how this might work if if we try these methods with our children or with our grandchildren, and to test out if these theories really do work, and how quickly our children can learn to read or or strengthen their reading. And so I'm thinking about doing that here on this channel. I really don't know how it's going to look yet. Right now it's just in my mind, because as you all know, I'm like, where I am on my timeline, I am waiting to hear if I can do my first defense of my proposal. So my pre-proposal defense, that's where I'm kind of in a waiting game, but I'm still researching and writing and stuff like that. But I want to test out some of these theories, if you will, these practices. So if any of you game, or any of you willing to join me on that, and just, you know, like 25 minutes a day for a week, and see what your grandchild or your child, no matter what age, what they are able to produce, or what the outcome will be from these sessions, these reading sessions, where we apply different reading techniques to our child's learning. So I'm sitting here, I'm looking at an article from Reading Rockets. You all probably already know about Reading Rockets, those of you who are teachers. And I'm a little stuffy, so forgive me. I feel like I need to blow and spit and everything else. Something just rolled down here. What was it? A pencil. All right. So Reading Rockets, 5 essential components of reading instruction. Okay, phonemic awareness. Now this article says there are 41 phoneme sounds. And, well, the word stop, S-T-O-P, each of those is a phoneme, because they each represent a sound, S-T-O-P, okay? And then shop, however, would have 3 phonemes, because S-H produces a sound, right there. So you've got your 3 phonemes. And so the problem is, people who teach sight words, it's almost like you're teaching children to memorize symbols like you would if they were learning Chinese. And so they might get confused, because in English is a crazy language. So many words look alike, like burn, born, born, burn, B-U-R-N, barn, B-A-R-N, born, B-O-R-N. So if a child is just memorizing that construct, they might get confused when it comes to applying the word in the right context and usage. Well, Reading Rockets says, you know, to teach phonemic awareness. And then that's where you can use your little memory poems and memory songs and stuff. And then phonics, of course, teaching phonics, so the understanding of predictable relationship between the graphing and the sound that it makes. Phonemes and graphings, that letter. So I had some letters, but I backed them up. So, you know, and then so teach phonics. Vocabulary development. Now this is where we are with my 7th graders. I don't spend so much time on phonemic awareness and phonics, even though I sound out words for them and they hear them sounded out when we're reading guided, and then when they hear each other read, when they hear me read, and then when they read. But vocabulary development for 7th graders is a very good way. Well, for all kids, it's an awesome way to get kids to develop their knowledge base, their vocabulary, their understanding and use of different words. And so I like all of the different ideas that are presented here in this article. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. Reading fluency, including oral reading skills. So see, this is what, like, whole language doesn't even address. Does whole language address from a structured framework of how to teach fluency, reading fluency, oral reading skills, silent reading skills? Or is it more to teach the appreciation of text and to immerse students in a variety of texts? That's one thing I do appreciate about whole language, is it engages students in a variety of texts at different lexile levels and reading difficulty levels, you know. And so that part is important, but you need the discrete skills. You need kids, when they have the skills, they're going to feel good about their ability to do the work. Now, that's what I propose. They're going to feel good about it, and they are going to, because they feel good about it, more than likely do the work, because they know that they are able to, that they're capable of completing the work in successfully, high quality. And I compare that to, like, anybody who has a skill. You know, I think about the singers when I sang in the chorus. The singers who sang, like, in the church, man, those big, powerful voices, you know, that could just radiate through the room and just pull out all your emotions. Those singers were called upon to sing more often than the singers who may have been more melodic or, you know, softer, depending on the song. But you all get my drift. And those powerful singers would be more willing to volunteer to sing because of the feedback they get and the reception they get when they sing, you know? And so I compare that, I kind of look at that as a parallel to reading. Like, the students who get a lot of support, and then, you know, like I do, we do, you do, they get that support. That's what we do at our school. I do, we do, you do. We use that method a lot at my school. But students will do the same. They'll start volunteering to read aloud in class. They'll start volunteering to help someone else, and more than likely they'll be able to get their work done, and they'll do a good job because their confidence is strong, because they feel that they are able to do the work. So thank you, whoever joined. I have a couple of viewers. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I'm still learning how to do all this technology stuff, so I can't really see. Oh, Senior S, hi, friend. How are you? I see you in the chat box. I hope you're still here. I'm going to answer back. All right, Senior S. There you go. Thank you, friend, for stopping by. Hope you're still watching. Yeah, I've got this cough. You know, I'm an old girl. I take good care of myself. I tell my students I'm 109 years old. They're like, Miss Daniel, how old are you? I'm 109 and holding. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, back on teaching students to read. So yeah, vocabulary development. That's the one I left off on. We do a lot of that in my class. Now, the the studies on vocabulary development, you have a whole array of how to teach vocabulary, but I find I'm kind of sticking to that old school of teaching affixes, because once students know affixes, they can pretty much determine the meanings of words because they know what the affixes mean. And so yeah. But let's see what else. I talked about reading fluency. How many tips did I say there were? 5. Okay, where's the 5th one? Reading comprehension strategy. Those, okay, so one of the criticisms that I tend to get, and I have been getting forever since I taught reading, have been teaching reading, is that I do a lot of guided reading in my class. I do a lot of guided reading. And the reason I do that is because the students, the majority of the students arrive with so little or very limited oral reading strength. Their vocabulary is not at grade level, and they're below grade level in word attack, decoding, just everything, pretty much. I'm talking about the majority of the students. You have students who are on and above grade level, and those students tend to like to read alone, silently, and they can handle it. But the reason I do a lot of guided reading is because when you have 50, 60, 70% of the students who need it and 30% who don't, I find it easier to extend the 30% and to support the 70. And so that's why I do a lot of guided reading. Now, they're supposed to read at home for independent reading. I don't think many of them do. I don't. Because when it comes to our discussions, like when we start drawing parallels between our novel, our classroom novel, some of the articles that we read, and then real current events or real life, rarely do any of the students pull from. Now, this may not mean they're not reading. It could be that they're just reading other types of things that don't correlate. But I rarely have students who pull in their independent novel or text, whatever it may be, and share it or parallel it to our discussions with the classroom novel. So yeah, y'all. So yeah, phonics versus whole language. Phonics, excuse me for belching, versus whole language. I am a phonics, a proponent of phonics. I don't know if students read poorly back in the day when I learned to read. I just assumed because I could read and I could write and spell and everything when I was in the early grades and all the way up, I just assumed that my peers were doing the same until I got around 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and then, well, 5th too. Then it starts, you can really see who's struggling and who's up to par. You can tell through discussions. A lot of my friends, I can remember when I was young, many of my friends couldn't even explain a movie because they didn't understand. And sometimes there were movies that I saw that I couldn't understand. And I tell my students, if you can explain a movie, then you're comprehending. So comprehension is the other side of that reading, building reading skills, because you can spend all your time on phonics, on pronouncing words, and then the students will expend all their energy on getting that right, and to where they're not keeping any of the focus to on the content, to pull out the meaning of the text. All of their energy and their focus is primarily on sounding out words, because that's what they think is all they need to do. But you have to tell them that there's another part to the reading, that you've got to be able to pull out the meaning. Like when I sang in the chorus, now my sight reading, my reading of music is, like I say on my Spanish, is primary level. You know, I can do it, but you know, it's not like somebody who really knows how to do it. I can do what I can do, and then you can see the rest that I can't do. I'm fully aware of my limitations when it comes to reading, you know, reading a composition. So, but I try. I do what I can, you know. And then with guidance, so you put training wheels on students. That's why you provide some sort of guided reading exercise. You put those training wheels on for them, and then you just let them go. You walk with them, you walk with them, you walk with them. And then the more they practice that, before you know it, you'll be able to let them go a little bit, and let them go a little further away from you, you know. Or in the text, move beyond maybe that sentence, that line, maybe they can move beyond that paragraph. And then you pull them back, or you stop them, and then you ask them about, you check their understanding of the text. So like with learning, with singing a piece of music, you know, you may be able to identify the keys, the notes, but then if you aren't fully fluent, you won't know how to piece them together with their timing, you know, the time signature and how many beats they get, and that type of thing, where to breathe, where to pause, and all of that. So it's the same. It's really a language in itself. Learning to read English, I think this is how I'm looking at it. Learning to read English, well, learning to read any language, but learning to read English, that's what I teach. Learning to read English to students who can't read English is a foreign language. It's a foreign language, and that's how I see it. They may be able to speak it, so they have one leg of the literacy down, because you know, you've got the speaking, you've got the listening, you've got the writing, and you've got the reading. So you've got those four legs on the table, and they can speak it, but now they have to be able to read it and understand it. And so, yeah, I just kind of propose that you have seventh graders trying to learn how to read a language that they can speak, and trying to write a language that they can speak. It's like learning a foreign language. And to me, the best way to do that is through phonics, phonetic instruction. So I just wanted to share that with you all, because I do want to provide some, I don't know how I'm going to do it here on this channel, but I kind of want to challenge you all to, I want to present some exercises and see who's willing to try them with their grandchildren or their children. Because I think for my grandson, he and I might do it on Skype or something like that. And then that way I can monitor my grandson. Because I feel like I really feel absent in his learning, even though it's not my responsibility, but it is my responsibility to make sure that my grandson is learning to read, that he is not just on grade level, but he is very strong in the literacy, you know, because math and science, that's not my forte, but if he can read, he can figure out math and science, you know. So all right, so leave your comments and everything, you all. Leave your comments. I am drinking plenty of water. I'm drinking my little granny concoctions, and they're nothing major. They're just very simple. Just stay hydrated on water. All right, y'all. Thank you for stopping by. Be blessed. Another pencil rolled off the table. I'm going to lose all my pencils. Bye.